Dear Diary, fair to say our confidence has been dented off the back of that hammering at the hands of Manchester United, but at least we're still in the top 4 and I'm safe in my job. Hopefully both remain the same after this next little patch, including more tough games against fellow upper table teams, Liverpool and Newcastle. Meanwhile, sacking season has begun. Chelsea, surprise surprise, were first out of the gates and have banished Inzaghi while down in 14th. No interest in us for that job so far, but Manchester United's manager is still on the brink, while there are also whispers of discontent at Brentford, Norwich, Tottenham and reigning champions Arsenal. It could be an interesting few weeks. Until next time. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 72 of FMOE here on Shaun Does FM with Cardiff City. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we play 2 more games in the Premier League and some of the bigger clubs who are doing quite well this time around. To start off this new week, first up we host top of the table Liverpool, the team so far who have got off to the best start by far, and then off the back of us hosting Leicester, which we will show you guys highlights of, we do take on Newcastle from St James's Park, so 2 teams who currently are inside the top 4 alongside us. So if you're looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and have been enjoying this series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but this is the first game that we have played off the back of that one at the end of last week, where unfortunately we got absolutely thrashed, as you can see there over in the top right corner, by Manchester United. If you missed that episode, which did also include a clash with Chelsea, I'll leave a link to that one over in the top right corner. But the only real thing of note that has happened since then is some managers have started to get sacked. I say some managers, so far just the one, and a little bit surprisingly, albeit it's not that surprising because of the club involved, but Chelsea were the first team to sack their manager this season. Inzaghi did get banished while they were down in 14th place, albeit Neil Bath currently is their caretaker manager, but it does look like for the most part they are going after managers who are from Italy, so we have not been approached yet or even had a wanted symbol above our head for that Chelsea job, which is a little bit surprising, because if we have a look at that job advert, a lot of the things that are included in their supporter culture is stuff that we are doing here at Cardiff City, so I thought for a little while there that might be one which would be a good fit for us, but they have not come after us. As I've said, it does look like they are more interested in some managers who are currently plying their trade over in City A, but as you would have seen through that intro as well, there are still quite a few Premier League managers who are on the brink of losing their job. Manchester United's one, Roger Schmidt, despite that result at the end of last week, is still in a precarious position, even though they have now made their way out of the relegation zone, and also Brentford, Norwich, Tottenham and Arsenal, also with managers in an insecure position. Arsenal in particular, that would be quite a rash move, I think, with those guys currently 8th on the table and just having come off a season where they did win both the Premier League and the Champions League. If we somehow found our way into that job, that would be a very, very good upgrade indeed, but we'll see what does happen. I think we're just going to wait until a club does come after us, because for now, even though there's a little bit of interest in seeing which jobs are coming up with managers being sacked, still quite happy with how we are doing here at Cardiff, as long as we do bounce back from that performance at the end of last week against Manchester United. But first up today, we are taking on Liverpool, and as you can see, they have had the best start so far in this Premier League season, still looking pretty similar to real life as well in terms of their key players and Jurgen Klopp in charge, albeit these days the key player is Jamal Musiala, but they are still playing a 4-3-3, and so far in the save, we do not have a good record against them, and as you can see, recent form as well is nothing short of superb, so this one's going to be really tough for us, even though it is at home in Cardiff. In terms of us going into this game, it's pretty much the same injury concerns that we did have going into that one at the end of last week against Manchester United. A few fringe players who are still out with some injuries, so it should be pretty close to the same lineup as we did play in that hammering, but hopefully dropping to a cautious mentality for this one might help us be a bit more solid at the back, but hopefully at least we can put in a much better defensive performance and see if we can take some points off the table toppers. We'll come back shortly with the team sheets from Cardiff City Stadium. And here are the team sheets for this first game of today's episode. As we mentioned before, we are exactly the same as we were for that game at the end of last week, that 6-2 loss to Manchester United, but a few changes. We are on a cautious mentality, and also instead of being more expressive, we are being more disciplined for this one, just to hope that does solidify us a bit at the back. Liverpool there in a very rich vein of form, but hopefully we can do something against them here at home. And there were absolutely no highlights in that first half, so I suppose thankfully we looked a bit more solid at the back based on what we have seen. Also, Musiala did pick up an injury late in that first half, so he might be gone for the second one. The only other thing to note that did happen, Jovic did pick up a yellow card, but to be fair, one of our better players so far in that first half. In terms of stats as well, you could argue we have been slightly the better team, but overall, both teams getting off some shots, but not many on target. And we'll see what we can do in the second half, albeit would not be too disappointed with a draw off the back of what did happen in our most recent game against a team like Liverpool. That is not a bad result at all, but we'll get things back underway and hopefully have some highlights in the second half, as it still remains 0-0. And there is actually a highlight in the second half, so that's a better start than what we had in the first 7 minutes into it. Is Mo Salah here with a free kick just on the edge of the box, tries to put that top left corner, and it does go out for a corner. So Mexado must have got a touch on that, and while we are here, I think we're going to make a change because Marco Blun on a poor rating. Alejo Veliz can come on for him, and we'll see if that stops this corner being shown so that Liverpool don't get another goal scoring chance. Thankfully, that's what happens. So still locked up at 0-0 as we get closer to the hour mark, and now Goodmanson, our captain, has gone down to a red heart. So we'll make a second substitution in amongst this bunch of action. We'll bring Niakate on for him with a half hour left. And we've made our way forward now to the 17-minute mark, and still not much happening in this one. Just that free kick to Salah, which did result in a good save from Mexado, but we're going to try and freshen things up here in our attack. Colwell can come on for Falius, and also Dominguez for Sully. And hopefully something happens in these last 20 minutes and we get some action. Still 0-0. And thankfully we do finally get another highlight in this game with 18 minutes left. It is a throw-in for Liverpool, and they do keep the ball here, so hopefully we do actually keep them out and might do something potentially on the counter-attack. Mapajiki puts that one in there for a Splia, but good work there from Mexado to come out and claim that ball. And hopefully this means we might be able to do something with a long ball deep, but we do roll it out short as we are supposed to do. And thankfully, we are holding on to this ball. Vayam there just does enough to find McGuinness there. Thought for a minute that might be a giveaway, but El Bloshy will do that. Now Luis Diaz with a good chance. Thankfully, though, it comes off the post, and McGuinness will clear that one away. So Liverpool now looks like they might be starting to get on the front foot late in this game. And now Pizzella in the midfield plays that one back for Virgil van Dijk. Ball over the top there for Baljo, but thankfully Niakate does recover, blocks that shot, and Mexado can make the save. And with just over 10 minutes left, still 0-0. And we're just about to enter injury time in this game. To be fair, this would be a result I am quite happy with, even though we have not had many highlights. It has not been the most entertaining game. But we are now on the front foot just briefly here inside the final third of Liverpool. So hopefully we can get a shot if we look there for Dominguez, but can't quite find him, albeit he does get the ball back. Now Quezada plays this one forward for Niakate. Some good passing here down our left-hand side. Can we burgle a late goal in this one? El Bloshy plays that one back for Quezada. El Bloshy tries to pick out Jovic, gets a header off, but unfortunately that one never really looked like it was going to hit the target. And we've just got 1 minute left now of added time. And there is a highlight here. It is a throw-in for Liverpool, albeit we are just going to have to wait here a little bit while El Bloshy briefly teleports, then gets helped from the field because he has just picked up what looks like it might be an orange injury. Hopefully nothing too serious. So he will be available for this busy stretch that we do have coming up in both December and January. And Liverpool there, quite sportingly, just throw that one out for a goal kick. And by now you'd like to think that might be full time in this one. And we might take a point here off the league leaders, which is not the greatest effort, truth be told, in terms of the performance, because obviously not many highlights during this game. There is full time, so that last highlight, a complete waste of time. And to be fair, that game overall, quite similar as well. Not much happened, but to be fair, off the back of that result against Manchester United at the end of last week, just quite stoked that we have kept a clean sheet against the best team in England at the moment, obviously, in this save universe. Even game in terms of overall stats, but unfortunately neither team had that many shots on target, and the goalkeepers, when they were called upon, did a decent job. But I think we're going to tell the boys they've done quite well out there to take a point off of Liverpool, and hopefully that will be enough to keep us inside that top 4 for now, as that is not the worst result, all things considered. Just looking at some teams who were in danger potentially of getting rid of their manager, Arsenal and Tottenham have picked up results, so their managers might just save themselves for another few games off the back of those, but Manchester United and Brentford are yet to play, so there could be some updates coming on those jobs before we do take part in our next game of today's episode, which is going to be away from home at St James's Park against Newcastle. But before then, we'll come back and see if we can get a result at home as we take on Leicester City. And I was going to come back and show you guys the highlights from that game in between those two in today's episode, but yet again a 0-0 draw at Cardiff City Stadium, so I suppose the good thing we are yet to concede a goal off the back of those 6 against Manchester United, albeit this time this was a game where we did try and play with a positive mentality, as Leicester not doing as well as the likes of Liverpool on the front foot in that game as well, but unfortunately no one had goal scoring touch in that game. As you can see, XG wise, certainly a game that we should have won, but unfortunately a 0-0 draw, so it does mean that yet again we have picked up a point, but that one a bit more disappointing than that previous game against a team like Leicester, who are just struggling a little bit down there in the bottom half of the table, but it does mean that we do stay for now inside that top 4, as we are about to take on Newcastle, who, as you can see, are in 6th place. But before we do have a look at those guys, a quick update on our transfer budget going into the January transfer window, where I didn't think we'd be able to do too much at the moment unless we did sell some players. The board did come to us in between those 2 games that we have had so far in today's episode and did ask us if we would like our wage budget increased. Of course, I said that was a great idea, and adjusting that just a little bit, as you can see now, instead of having only around £5,000, we now have just over 1 million and around about 80,000 in the wage budget as well. So potentially we could just add another body to the squad if we need to. We'll see if we can find someone who is useful and can help us out for the second part of the season. But if we do find someone on the cheap, we now have the money to make that a thing, and also a little bit of extra wage if we find some people who could be useful on a free transfer going into next season. And also no more sackings in the Premier League in between that Liverpool game and this one coming up, where we are going to take on Newcastle. As you saw before, they have slipped down the table a little bit as well, down into 6th spot, but they still have Zinedine Zidane in charge and are playing the same formation as Liverpool are, with some fairly notable names in that lineup, as you would expect, of course, with that money, having had quite a few years now to get in to that Newcastle squad. But hopefully we can pick up a decent result here this time away from home. I think we're going to go pretty similar to what we did in terms of mentality to that Liverpool game, try and keep things cautious and see if we can do something when we do get our chances in front of goal. And hopefully maybe the fact that these guys are also having to focus a little bit on the Champions League might just mean that we can make the most of that, because as you can see, their recent form in the Premier League, not that great. A draw against Chelsea and losses to Leeds and Everton, so maybe this is a chance for us to get a result and get back on track off the back of a few goalless draws since that shocker at Old Trafford. And yet again we go into this game with pretty much the same injury concerns as we have had for those last couple, so we'll come back shortly with the team sheets from St James's Park, as hopefully we can see a goal at the very least as we take on Newcastle United. And here are the team sheets from St James's Park. Here are Newcastle, as we mentioned before, in terms of the Premier League, not actually in that good a form, but they are picking up some wins in the Champions League, so do need to be respected. We are exactly the same as we have been over those last few games, and hopefully, at the very least, we might see a goal in this one, and hopefully can keep ourselves inside that top 4, but a tough task here away from home in front of St James's Park. And yet again, no highlights in the first half. It feels like Football Manager today is having a bit of a stroppy with me for some reason and not wanting to show any goals. Hopefully that does change in the second half, but there are a few players out here that we can hopefully change up to try and get us more on the front foot here. Carlos Domingos will come on for Sully on a yellow card, and also Niakate for McGuinness, who I believe was out there on a 6.4. Indeed, he was. We'll tell the guys not happy with that, and hopefully something happens in the second half as we get things back underway at 0-0. And just over 10 minutes into the second half, finally a highlight, and Farias here is on the attack for us, does quite well there to just go in and out and keep the ball for us. And there, Jovic gets brought down by Minjay inside the box. It might not be an open play goal, but we're going to get a chance here to do something you'd like to think from the penalty spot. And like we did against Tottenham a few episodes ago, this could be actually a very good result for us. If this is the only bit of action that does happen in this game, it is going to be Farias this time from the penalty spot. The goalkeeper goes the wrong way, and thankfully, something to show you guys in today's episode, because for a while there, was getting a little bit worried about the lack of goals in this one, and I suppose that one not great either from the penalty spot, but hopefully it brings this game to life a little bit. With just over a half hour left, we do go 1-0 up. And only a few minutes off the back of that penalty goal, we are going to make some substitutions here, as we do have some players who are not playing that well. Bayham's on a 6.4, and so is Marco Bruns. We're going to move Goodmanson to a centre-back, and Mike Stovall can come on and play left-back for this last half hour. And also we do have Marco Brun, as I said, on a 6.4. I think we will give Alejo Veliz a chance to re-find some form. It's been a little while now since he's scored a goal, since those opening couple of games of the season. But at the very least, we do have a lead to sit on here, still up by 1-0. And very shortly off the back of those previous substitutions, Jovic now has gone down to a red card. He has been behaving himself lately, but it does seem like that means his form is not being quite as good. But on that red card, we'll bring Cole on for him. Farias can go out left in some decent form, having scored the goal, and Dominguez out right. We'll see how that goes late in this one, still up by that goal. And there is another highlight in this game with 12 minutes left. We get a chance here to play out from the back. Goodmanson will pump that one deep, but unfortunately straight to Gomez. And Skip there, he nearly found an attacker, but Niakate just does enough there to disrupt things. A little bit surprised there was no foul in amongst that. But Mexado pumps that deep, and it will give Newcastle here a chance to play out from the back. And Chukwueze here starts to make his way quite nicely down the right-hand side. He stands up his man there, finds Oliver Skip inside the box, unleashes a shot there from a tight angle, but thankfully the woodwork does come and save us. Then he takes a massive dive. Thankfully, the referee does not blow up for that one, and we are still up by a goal inside these last 10 minutes. And entering the last 5 minutes of this game, and hopefully we can hold on here for a win. And we do have a highlight here inside the final third of Farron, and Ben Hardy should be able to find a teammate there with a couple of options. Veliz doesn't get there. It's not a very good throw, albeit Goodmanson gives that one away to Quezada, as he was looking for him, I should say. And now Lino does get in behind, but thankfully, I think yet again the Akate has recovered very nicely to block that shot. So we nearly give away a goal very late, but thankfully we hold on for all 3 points yet again. A game with not many highlights, but things certainly picked up just a little bit off the back of that penalty, and thankfully this time Facundo Farias did put it away. So it does mean that lately, in some of the games that we have played, we have had to rely on some penalties to pick up wins, but both cases away from home against teams that we have struggled against a little bit so far in this save, and that result in particular, quite a useful one off the back of that Manchester United loss and those draws against Liverpool and Leicester. Finally get the ball in the back of the net yet again, and we pick up a 1-0 win away from home. And as you can see, for now, that puts us into second on the Premier League table, albeit still a fair way behind Liverpool, but in a very nice spot as we nearly get to the halfway stage of the season off the back of that 1-0 win away at St James's Park. And we've gone forward around about a day off the back of that second game that we did show you guys in today's episode. There are the rest of the results. As you can see, Arsenal and Watford with a draw, as was the case with Aston Villa and Brighton. And going forward to the next day, Tottenham beat Manchester United, albeit their manager still precarious, so he's getting very close to being sacked, but it hasn't quite happened yet. And Brentford were beaten by Liverpool, but yet again, their manager is safe for now. So unfortunately, despite what I thought might happen, no more sackings since that Chelsea one during the course of today's episode. But I dare say, by the time that we do come back for the next episode, we might have another update on some of those teams' managerial situations, as Manchester United are now down in 19th. Brentford in 20th. Not very good for either of those teams. And I also think that Stoke now might be close to pulling the trigger as well, as they are in the relegation zone after getting quite close to securing European football last season when they were up near the same end of the table as we were. But that will do it, I think, for today's episode. Unfortunately, both games were not overly highlight filled and not many goals at all, but Football Manager was not playing well with me today, so I'll try and sort that out before the next episode, and hopefully a bit more action on the field. And maybe as well, there might be a team who does come and try and pry us away here from Cardiff City, albeit still in a very good situation, in third on the Premier League table, just behind Brighton and Liverpool, to be fair, already with a very, very big gap on top of the table. But if you enjoyed that episode with that draw against Liverpool and that win over Tottenham, as I said, not many highlights, but to be fair, some decent results off the back of that Manchester United result, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well in terms of when we are going to come back for the next episode. It probably depends if something notable does happen in the job market or if we do get approached by a club, but otherwise I might try and get through this spell in December without coming back, and we might come back right at the start of January for an interesting double header right at the start of the month. We take on Manchester City at home in the Premier League, another team currently inside that top 4. We do have to play them away from home late in the month of December, but we'll come back for that home game if nothing changes in between now and then. And also, we do enter the FA Cup this season, but with a tough matchup as we take on Chelsea, who by that stage should have a new manager. Going to be interesting to see how we get on in that one, with both teams, by the looks of it, having a big player out through suspension, Lukaku for Chelsea and El Bloshy for us. But that's the plan, to come back for those games in tomorrow's episode, but we could come back sooner if some funny business does happen with those managers who are under pressure, if it does come back and relate to us here at Cardiff City. So until I do see you for tomorrow's episode, where hopefully we see a few more goals as well, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.